Hello and welcome to the Two Guys One Roto Show, presented by Fantasy Six Pack. My name's David Whitcomb, alongside my co-host Rich Sayre. Hello, Rich.
Hey, Dave. Good to be back.
Good to see you. We had a little hiatus there for a couple of weeks, but we're glad to be back with you, our loyal and loving audience, I'm sure. Today we're going to be talking about buys and sells. We're 1 month, or a little better than 1 month into the season. So we think it's a good opportunity to say, hey, who do we believe in? Who do we maybe less believe in? And we're proud to say that once again, we have somebody who's kind enough to join us as a guest. So as always, I'd be remiss. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, love it. Love the guests.
Okay. Yep. As always, be remiss if I didn't ask everybody to like and subscribe to the show wherever you're either watching it on YouTube or if you're listening to it either on Apple or Spotify. And you can follow us on Twitter or on Blue Sky. You can see our handles in our display names here, but just in case you're listening, I'm at DWD Original. Rich, you are?
I'm at R Sayre, SAYRE 04.
04. Okay, there we go. So Rich Sayre and Dave Whitcomb, once again, bringing you the Two Guys One Roto Show. So without further ado, we're going to welcome to the show our guest, none other than Doc Eisenhauer. Doc, hello.
How y'all doing today?
Excellent. How are you, sir?
There he is.
Good. Man, these two are characters, brother. I tell you what. We've been going back and forth for what, a year it feels like, trying to get a podcast happening. I'm happy we got it done. And in the meantime, these two are trolls, but they're not like annoying trolls. They stand by. I think you actually stand behind what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And so these two are not afraid to get into it. On the X is where I frequent. And look at these two. One's got a Boston hat, one's a Boston hat, one's got a New York Yankees hat. These guys are a couple of you guys are fun guys. I'm glad we could get this going. Hopefully it's a good podcast. And I just set it up for success. So if we fail now, it's really embarrassing.
I'm sure nothing but success. So but we appreciate you taking the time as always. Again, we're going to refuse to call you anything but Doc. I hope that's okay. If you've earned, I feel like regale us with the story real quick of how you came by Doc. In that you played Doc Holliday in some sort of show or something, or play or something like that.
That's interesting. Play, bro. I'm not a loser. I'm on TV, dude. Yeah, every real actor out there's oh, it's all about the theater. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on. And so they're all British, I guess. Yeah, I had played Doc Holliday in some indie movie. Here's the thing: indie movies that's just you could do a $10 million indie movie, so that doesn't really tell you anything. But $100,000 indie movie. Yeah. Otherwise, you would have heard of it. And it just came out. It's called Killin' Jim Kelly. I got it promoted on X. I've been so busy, but
nice.
we filmed it back in March 2023. If you look at the start date of my account, which used to be called until very recently at Doc Holiday Dyna, that was just supposed to be a burner account for me to be silly. And then people started listening to my takes for some reason. And then I'm like, oh gosh, now people on CBS, are referring to me as Doc Holiday Dyna. I'm then so I got brought on recently. I think the final nail in the coffin was Scout the Stat Line is kind of doing it's not a merge, but there's a partnership forming with Prospects Live.
Right.
And,
nice.
And so I'm writing over there now. They're all real proper. We're a Scout the Stat Line. We're a bit rogue, a bit rough around the edges.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the charm. But and our Dynasty Dingers podcast is still kind of in the Scout. It's just in the weird. We don't know what it is. It's still on the Scout the Stat Line network, I guess. Prospects Live, they're you're Darren Eisenhauer. I'm Doc, and then I'm
I'd seen you over there on Sunday, so I wasn't sure if it was one-off or I didn't know it was a partnership kind of thing. So that sounds cool.
That's cool. We actually had Ross Jensen on in a previous episode from Scout the Stat Line, so that's pretty cool. So anyway, all right. So again, the premise for the show is we're going to do two apiece, or four apiece rather, hitters and pitchers. And so 2 buys and 2 sells in each, whatever category, whatever you want to call it, or on each side of the ball, or however you want to phrase that. Doc, our typical, whatever parlance is to give the guest the first crack at it. So why don't you lead us off with your first hitter, buy or sell? Take your pick.
I mean, I guess so. I'm gonna start hot. I actually don't like sells or the negative side of things, but I'll be honest. And if you put me to it, we'll do it. But we're gonna start off with something I like to do. What I like to do in case people stop listening to the podcast who want to start hot. Maikel Garcia, man. This was kind of a cool week for Maikel Garcia and me because about a week ago, I think it was, I was tweeting about him like, hey, here's the breakout. No one's really paying attention to. And then also I even added to it, like he kind of already broke out in a weird way. Like in 2023, he came on as a rookie, 23 years old, had like a 272 batting average, I believe. Really good elite bat to ball contact skills, fast, decent defense at premium fantasy positions. And the real interesting thing was like he doesn't actually have a profile like what you'd call a rabbit. He hits the ball really hard, like really good EVs. And then last year came along, and it was a weird year. Almost 40 stolen bases. Like, whoa, bro, not that easy to do. Right. Problem, ratio sucked. He flashed some moments throughout it where like maybe we'll have something better, but it seems like it was mostly a bad luck year, to be honest. He had like an expected BA of 260, which is like fine for a 24-year-old. His real BA was like 231, not good. And then the OBP was 281. So that's like not usable in OBP leagues. So it's kind of like, but here's the deal: like you can't throw out someone's career based on like their age 24, essentially more or less like kind of their real full rookie season, and in an up and coming lineup. And this year we're seeing Maikel Garcia. He's actually willing to take a walk, which is exciting. I'm not sure if he's ever going to fully get a consistent launch angle, but if he does, like he's got 90 plus average EVs, like he hits the ball really hard. He's actually a good hitter. Like this ceiling here is underrated. It's so good. Is he going to get there? I don't know. I don't even care. Like if he just can hit between 260 and 300, which is like probably where he lives. And then 320 plus OBP, fine. Steal me 30 to 40 bases. That's great. Anything more, but like he was getting dropped in Yahoo leagues this week, and then he went off. I think we have a 2 home run game, and he's just been like crushing the ball lately. Yeah. So he's Ronald Acuna's cousin is the last thing I'll say about him, which is like worth mentioning. And this is actually right before I dropped the mic. So this is a family, man. This is Ronald, Luis Angel, Alcides Escobar, same family. Remember him? And then randomly Kelvin Escobar, the pitcher. Remember that guy?
Wow.
I dude. So it's a baseball family.
That's fantastic. Those are nuggets worth savoring right there. That's good stuff. Yeah, no, Maikel Garcia was a popular pick going into 2024, and kind of to your point, didn't fall completely flat on his face, but certainly probably disappointed, at least on the surface level. And so I think a lot of people were tapping out, and probably a lot of those people are regretting that decision now because he certainly seems to be coming into his own this year. And Rich knows this, and Doc, perhaps you have seen me mention this before as well, but defense matters in fantasy. I don't care what anybody says. If you're a good defender, you play more, and Maikel Garcia is a good defender, so he's going to play more. So that's good stuff. So, Rich, you want to go ahead and give us a buy or sell, please?
I gotta get a batting glove or something up here. So when you say that, I can, do a little shtick or something. That's what we'll work on for the next episode. But I'm gonna continue with the optimism. I'm gonna go into my buy, and my first buy is gonna be Jake Burger. I think the value is pretty low right now. I'm rooting for Jake Burger. I think there's a good buy low window right now. Depending on your league, he may even be free. I believe in the player. He's got the power for sure to hit, I think, 35 plus home runs over a full season. When I was looking at the metrics, there's not a lot that really changed this year versus the last couple of years. I think he got scapegoated a little bit. He got caught up. The whole team has not been hitting well. He has options. They moved him down, trying to make some changes. He's hitting a lot better than Jock Peterson. Jock Peterson doesn't have options, so he's still up for now. He's hitting the ball just as hard as he has in the past. He's got pretty much the same contact rate. same chase rates, all of that stuff is pretty similar across the board. The only thing that's a little off right now is his pull percentage is down. So to me, maybe the timing's a little bit off, hasn't gotten it together so far. We're only a month into the season. That's what I'm chalking it up to. No loss in bat speed. He's actually swinging faster than he has in the past. He's 92nd percentile in the league on that. Had a lot of changes, new team, new kid, a lot of stuff going on. I think he'll be back up. I think you can grab him now and you can pick up, at least 20 home runs for the second half of the year. I think he's going to be a solid hitter. Could go on a run like he did last year. So that's my first buy.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I know Burger is your boy. Doc, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting, really good buy, because sometimes when you're doing these things, it can be tempting. Like Maikel Garcia. Only reason I use that is because I called it before he started really thumping. His bat speed's up a bit too. But to call a bot or selling someone who is not even sexy to begin with, you know what I'm saying? But when you say buy this Jake Burger, you're going to hear it, right? People are going to come after you a little bit if you post that on social media sometimes. So I think you're right. I think we know the drill with Jake Burger. It's that at some point in the season, he's going to give you a month with 12 home runs, and it's going to win you. It might win you the league if it's roto, but you don't want to have him in your lineup at the wrong time. Well, this is a great opportunity. I think, like you said, Rich, in a lot of leagues, he's available for $0 hairs.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. So, all right. So I'll go ahead with my buy. My buy is a little bit of a cop out, but it's more a vote of confidence than it is a buy per se. But my buy is Alex Bregman, and it's just to say we got new ballpark and new team and a resurgent Breggers. Bregman is one of my favorite players in baseball. He was former, as we know, second overall pick out of LSU, and he's currently rocking a career high 171 WRC plus. It's his highest, like I said, it's highest ever, 4 points better than even his MVP runner-up season. His StatCast page is completely rocking red up and down, except for sweet spot and bat speed. But he's never necessarily been a bat speed merchant. I looked through his past numbers, and it was always, even in his MVP season, not big whatever. So, and he's obviously more than getting the job done. I called this before the season started. I said this is a perfect fit for him team-wise. It's a perfect fit for him ballpark-wise. I've said it, so again, I said it before. I'm going to say it again. I think this guy finishes in the top 3 in American League MVP voting this year. And so I would say Breggers is not, he's a buy insofar as if you can still get him for somebody who believes there's regression coming. I don't think there's regression coming. I think you go get him. So, gentlemen, any thoughts?
I mean, I'll just say that, honestly, I don't know how it happened, but I haven't really been following Alex Bregman. I'm looking at his Savant page. It's crazy. What do y'all I mean, maybe Rich has some idea. He's got the B on his head. I mean, I got to say that those EVs, it's unlikely unless he found a way to cheat again. I don't know how they stick around.
Hey, whoa.
92 and a half average EVs. That's coming down. But, hey, I mean, the rest of his profile, he's always been just good at baseball without being a freak athlete. Yep. So, Rich or David, what do y'all think about those EVs? Because that seems like, to me, the big outlier.
I think, I think it's what Dave said. I think the moment was right for him on this team to be the engine that's driving them into kind of a new chapter. So I think kind of everything's just rolling right now. You're right. It could happen. He has put up big power, I think, at least once before, as far as the home run numbers. So, and I just think he fits the ballpark really well. I think even with a little bit of regression in his personal EVs, I think there is room for the team to pick up. Duran and Devers and some of those other guys are hitting better now. Campbell came out of the blocks hot, but the start of the season was a little rough. So I think there's room for team improvement even still if Bregman regresses a little bit, and I think that'll just keep everything rolling.
Yeah. So, all right. So you guys want to move on to a pitcher, or do we want to stick with hitters? What do we move on to?
Let's do a pitcher. I'll say real quick, just about Bregman. I want to say one thing is that he's never had EVs this high, but two, I'll tell you what. He's such a Boston Red Sox. It's a good fit. It is a great fit.
Yeah.
So best of luck to him and y'all. But let's do a pitcher, man. I'm down for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Or actually, I guess what we should probably do is do our first hitter sell. You want to do that?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. Mr. Holiday. It was not actually Mr. Holiday. Why don't you give us a sell, sir?
So actually, I didn't mean to hijack. It was, I forget who had him, but someone had Pete Crow-Armstrong. And I was just, sorry, bro. I wasn't trying to hijack it. I actually was just like, let's just both talk about them, like, for different reasons. But I actually didn't know how the show really was going to go. Thought maybe, I don't know. But here's the deal. Pete Crow-Armstrong, happy for the kid. I didn't really see it coming to this extent. And but that said, I also don't really think it's like, I think what we're seeing ratio-wise, it's like that might be the peak. Because he's still chasing in the lowest percentile, the first percentile of MLB. That doesn't scream like it's sustainable. Hey, he's young. He's 23, so he could improve. Not really taking walks either. This was my thing. I played in a lot of OBP leagues, but he did have some power, and he's obviously showing that. Did have some speed, and he's obviously showing that. So, in certain leagues, certain formats, he's going to be super valuable. I mean, I guess we're looking at like a 30-30 guy, maybe, right? Like, so maybe he's like Adolis Garcia, which is a weird comp because they physically look nothing alike.
Right.
It's like, it's like one guy's got blue hair, one guy's got no hair. That's what I was thinking.
Right.
But no, they just, different kind of builds too. Just Adolis is this muscle ball. So yeah, it's just interesting. That's the kind of, but I mean, that's someone who we draft though, right? We like Adolis Garcia. And so PCA, I'm not sure if he's my guy just because those ratios are deadly. If he's going to be like a 250, 300 kind of guy, that would be someone where batting average only leagues. And I've said this for a while about PCA. In batting average only leagues, his value goes way up. If you're like, I play in some OBP only leagues, bro, that's like a major problem.
Right. Makes sense. Actually, maybe a comp for him could be Javi Baez, insofar as early career Javi Baez. In other words, doesn't draw walks.
I was gonna say not helping him with the whole buy.
No, but doesn't draw walks. Doesn't strikes out a ton. Plays great defense. Hits dingers. Steals bases. So yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah, I popped it up here, and the chase rate is crazy. Like that wasn't on my radar to that extent. But then at the same token, he's got a career 65% contact on outside swings. So that's kind of wild too. So I don't know. Very interesting.
Yeah. So Rich and I were having a conversation. Sorry. Rich and I were having, I don't know if you guys heard that pounding in the background, but that was my dog eating its bone. So I was like, I'm taking the thing away. But anyway, Pete Crow for Rich and I were having talk. I don't know if it was last night or 2 nights ago or whatever, but like, is Pete Crow-Armstrong the best center fielder in baseball? Like, maybe. I'm not sure who.
Did y'all see Victor Scott last night?
I did see Victor Scott. I was watching that live.
Superman.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That's my homie, Victor Scott. So, all right, Rich, give us a sell.
So my sell, you never heard this before, Dave. I'm going to premiere this right now. My sell is Mike Trout. I kind of wish we had done the show last week because he wasn't hurt then, but he is hurt now, and that's why he's always my sell. And look, nothing against the guy. I don't get any pleasure from this. I've actually really enjoyed Mike Trout over his career. I think he was the best hitter of our generation. I don't think it's making any headlines to say that, but I honestly at this point think you're fooling yourself if you're planning or thinking that you're going to have Mike Trout available towards the end of the season. Maybe if you're in a roto league, you just ride it out while you got it and you understand that's the plan going in, that's fine. If you're in a head-to-head league or points league or anything with the playoffs, I think you want to get out of Mike Trout as soon as you can. That's been my take for the last 3 or 4 years, and he's never finished the season over that time period. So, I think the move at this point is he's coming back. The injury is minor. That's the word. Hits a couple home runs over a weekend when he's back, and you see what you can get for him. And again, I don't take pleasure in saying that, but I think that's got to be the play because there's a ton of people that love to think that he's going to finish the season this year, it seems like.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's depressing.
Well, he's the hitting Glass now, right? Like I've been the same thing. Like,
you got my heart
it's better
there.
For it's better for the game if they're both healthy, but there's always someone who believes in the draft room, so I never get them.
Yeah, makes sense. So, all right. So I'm going to give you guys my sell or my first sell for hitters, who is Jorge Polanco. And Polo is having, as are the Mariners. I believe the Mariners, when I last looked, the Mariners were third in baseball in WRC plus for the teams. I don't have any super specific data to point to here. His StatCast page looks like a freaking fire hydrant. But I don't believe it's possible to literally double your career WRC plus at age 31. I don't like that. Just doesn't seem like a thing that can happen. And he's actually almost tripling last year's mark. So the Mariners and Edgar Martinez specifically, I think they found something here. This guy's best position for his whole career has been hitter, because he's been an atrocious fielder pretty much everywhere he's played. But for a dude who is, just again, coming out of his shoes and just clobbering his career marks, I think we're looking at regression city. The trick is that I'm not sure that you're getting anything for him if you're looking to move him, right? Like I'm not sure where the market is to sell him, so to speak. Simply because, but if you do find that person who says yes, Polo's breaking out at age 31, like go get you what you can and move on. So, gents, any thoughts?
It's always been about health. He's actually a good ball player. He actually hit 33 home runs, 98 RBIs one year with a 269 batting average. That was the last time he had. He played in more than 118 games, so that's missing a lot of time. Since 2018. He's only gone over that number twice. He's just never healthy. And so actually he's always been a really good contact guy for the most part. And so this is somewhat real, but he's in Seattle. He's getting older. He's going to get hurt. So I mean, if you're in like a deeper league where that guy has value, in a 20 to 30 man, especially at a premium position. It's like, you can get something for him, and I would. Now's the time. Right.
Makes sense. So, all right. So, why don't we move on to some arms? Mr. Holiday, how about we're going to start with buys again, I guess?
We're going to do pitcher buy? Is that what we're doing?
We're doing a pitcher buy. Why not?
We're doing it, yep.
Man, I haven't not really been talking about Reese Olson this year, so keep an eye out for some analysis on Reese Olson, because I was big into him last year and I'm big into him this year. And even during his little downturn, I mean, after a few games, you're like, gosh, is this not going to happen? Okay, good. His Avant page isn't completely read yet, so it's not too late for me to hype him up a little bit. Yeah, he's just like a fun pitcher. I would love for him to put a bit more meat on his bones. Like, he's a skinny kid, like 6'1", 160 is his listed frame. Hopefully he's up to 170 by now. But it's funny, you watch him, he looks like broad-shouldered, but he's skinny. Anyway, so and that's just going to help durability. He's giving up some hard contact, but he's got like a real pitch mix. I'm looking here. He's mixing it up. I want to see the percentage here. Yeah, so you got a 4-pitch mix, but he mixes in a 5th pitch 6% of the time, a curveball, and that's actually got a 43% K rate. So like that's your 5th pitch you're like just using on occasion, and it hasn't been hit this year. Yeah, they haven't hit the curveballs. Maybe mixing in a little bit more, but usually those, like, depending on what the curve looks like, 79.8. So it's like a slow curve. You don't want to throw that too often because it don't get teed up. So no, he's just a good guy who good, 30% sinker, 25% changeup, 25% slider, and that's interesting because he's not even, I guess the sinker is taking the place of his heater. He's got a 4-seam fastball he'll throw in there too. You watch him, he just knows how. Some guys, they don't have anything that really blows you away, but when they put it all together, they put that mix together. It really plays off it really just plays well. And so Reese Olson in a pitcher's park, especially with a team behind him where, wins are still a category in a lot of leagues. I think he's going to get more wins this year. So are y'all in or are y'all out on Reese Olson?
Do you have that that data in front of you? What's his sinker velocity looking like this year? Do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, 94.7. Like that's a hard. It's actually just basically the same speed as his four-seamer.
So that's the reason I asked is Robert Orr from Baseball Prospectus tweeted during spring training that so Reese Olson's throwing a sinker, 94, 95 now, as opposed to it used to be about 90, 91. So I guess this guy's going to finish in the top 5 in Cy Young voting now. And
I mean, he had this. I don't know what data he was looking at, but he had similar last year. But it's worth, and maybe by the end of the year it'll drop down a bit. But yeah, I go on. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, but to your point, I like Reese Olson as it's kind of a greater than the sum of his parts pitcher, right? He just puts it together, gives you solid outings. Doesn't generally get blown up. Doesn't generally go super deep into games either. And doesn't, for those of us who are in strikeout heavy leagues, doesn't necessarily rack up the punchies. But a fair amount. But he's not like a high strikeout guy. But anyway, Olson's
making some progress this year. Yeah, a lot of trends on the way up. I definitely like what I see, and we've been back and forth on Olson for a while. I've always liked him. I thought he was a pretty underrated guy. Didn't get a lot of prospect hype coming up, but always put it together on the field.
Yeah, cool. All right, so Mr. Sayre, why don't you give us a pitcher buy?
Yep, pitcher buy. I'm gonna pull out a sleeper here. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Dylan Cease. No. So not really a sleeper, but the point that I want to make, especially right now as we're recording this show, is you're looking at Dylan Cease. He's had, now this is his second year to this point where he's had a really high ERA. It's a 5.61 right now. He's only got one win. I think he's got value potentially over the rest of the season to be a top 5 starting pitcher. So I think if you go out and get him now, you're going to get a lot of value. I think you're going to stack wins with the Padres. That's a very good team. Even with the 5.61 ERA, he's got a FIP of 3.34. Got a really high BABIP right now for no particular reason. Down close to 60% left on base rate. I think he's just got bad luck to start the year. So I think just in general, he's not somebody that people think of in the way that he's an elite top 5 type guy. Over the last 4 years, he's number 1 in strikeouts out of all starting pitchers. So I think if you can go get him right now, if you have a name that perhaps has some more perceived value and you can trade that for Dylan Cease and something else, I think you're coming out ahead in that. I might give you that tip as we get a little bit further into the show.
There you go. Great. No, I like Dylan Cease a lot. We actually, Rich and I, in a standard 5x5 roto league that he and I play in together with Co on a team together, just acquired Cease just for that reason, because he's positive regressions all day long, we think. Mr. Holiday, care to share any thoughts?
Yeah. He's quickly become this guy who I have avoided at all costs because he's like high strikeouts, high volatility. But now he's becoming really reliable. I'm big on innings. If you can give me innings, you'll give me everything I want. You'll get, because that means you're likely give me quality starts. You're likely, if you're on a decent team, get me some wins, and you'll get volume strikeouts at least. And if you're a guy like Dylan Cease, you got even better than volume strikeouts. Talking about like a Reese Olson, that's why I was talking about him putting on weight. Because if you can stick around, you can just be a good pitcher. You'll stay 5, 6, 7, 8 innings sometimes, right? Maybe 9 once in a while. And then you'll just get those 7 strikeouts in 8 innings. That actually adds up. And so Dylan Cease is someone who showing durability, and that's I think I'm going to be drafting him more aggressively next year. So good call. I think this is a good. Maybe right now with a 5. Is that really what he's got right now? 5.61 ERA. Is that real?
Yeah. Yep.
You
should probably go get him.
ERA and 1 win. Yeah. So somebody who's not looking under the hood, you can definitely take advantage and grab a good pitcher for less than what his rest of season value will be. Doctor, you led me right into my pitcher buy. You said something that you value a lot is innings. And I'm a big believer in that. I actually think in the prospect world, which is I think kind of your whatever joie de vivre. I think innings pitched is like the most underrated thing for pitching prospects now. Sure, the guys who are going 3 innings and punching out 8 guys are, getting a lot of hype and all that stuff, whatever. But give me the guy whose team is willing to let him go 5 or 6 innings, at AA or whatever. Like that shows that they trust him, kind of thing. So anyway, point is that I've got an innings guy for us, and that's Aaron Nola. So Aaron Nola is 10th in baseball in ERA minus FIP. His career has been really underappreciated, in my opinion. This is another LSU guy, by the way, so fitting right into Alex Bregman. But for the COVID season, he'd be approaching 2,000 career innings with a career ERA career FIP, of 3.46, and striking out almost 10 per 9. So that's pretty darn good. This year, however, has not been great. Got off to an awful start. It was 0-5 with like a 7 ERA. But his last 2 starts, much better. And obviously, you look at these numbers under the hood. His BABIP is about 30 points up. His home runs per fly ball is about 2.5 percentage points up. And his most recent 2 starts, much more telling for me. 13 innings, 1 run ball, 2 walks, and 14 punchies. I would take him over my 2 sell pitchers, which we'll get to. But I would take him over my 2 sell pitchers without a second thought. So you guys want to share any thoughts real quick?
It seemed like when he was struggling, he's starting to put it together a little bit now. I mean, maybe you say he's still struggling, but people were saying, I don't know who said it, but I'm calling them out. They said, he was never actually good. I'm tired of pretending that he was. I'm like, dude, kicking a guy when he's down. Let's see his numbers here. Those numbers, those ERAs, those are fantastic, giving us tons of 200 strikeout seasons. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's I think I was busy at the time. I clearly don't remember who it even was who said that, but I kind of wish I punched back because he's someone who like some teams. I think it's just these East Coast teams. Like I've been in Middle America for a while, and it's funny, like the big markets that most people think of, like Boston and Philly. Sometimes I just don't see those games as often. So I come across profiles like Nola, and I'm like. Or like I guess Cease would be the opposite coast now. And then before that, I didn't want anything to do with the White Sox. So anyway, but the
still a smart move.
But yeah, well, these days I like the White Sox pitchers. They just pull rabbits out of hats. But point being that Nola is an underrated guy, another guy to go get. I agree with you.
Yeah. So all right, we're gonna go ahead and move to where are we at now? We're on hitter number 2.
I think so. We're on sell pitcher.
Oh, sell pitcher. Excuse me, sell pitcher. Thank you. Sorry, Rich. Sorry about that. All right. So, Mr. Eisenhauer, how about that? I'll actually call you by your actual name. Give us a sell pitcher, sir.
Doc Eisenhauer, emerged the worlds. I'm gonna sell Max Meyer, even though I actually like him long term. The reason I say that is because he just gave us, within recent memory, a 14 strikeout game, and nice. Helsley's trying to close out the Pirates, and Brian Reynolds just barely went past the foul line with a home run. It would have been a 3-run bomb and tied it. I wouldn't have liked it as much. It would have been a second home run of the game. Sorry to all Brian Reynolds owners out there. Yeah, I got Helsley in a couple leagues. I wanted to do well. So point being, though, is that Max Meyer, so he's got a crazy slider, mean slider, also giving up the worst loud contact in the league. It's first percentile again. And he's not really size. He's not a big size. So like already I'm like, you're an uphill battle with me. But the bigger problem is it looks like he could become a one-trick pony again. I was writing about him for Prospects Live in my Sunday Smoke. I wrote it Saturday morning before his start. I said, I just feel like his other pitches are just not living up to, they're not performing the way they need to be. And so teams could just wait on that slider, time that up, and launch bombs. And well, the A's did that night. And so that was an easy edit. I was like, they actually did it,
Right.
I told you, like in the article. But anyway,
like
I mean, you can't deny that guy's got stuff and he's got potential. And he's still so young. So by no means in dynasty leagues am I writing him off, but I just think in redrafts and in dynasty leagues where you want to like, I think he's going to go through some problems. This might be a 4+ ERA year where I think like it could be 4.20 ERA where he still gives you like 180 plus Ks. So like Mackenzie Gore the last couple of years, you know what I'm talking about? Like useful, but not like right now. I think people are still expecting him to be breaking out and become like a fantasy SP1.
Right.
I think we're a year or two away if it happens.
Makes sense. So, all right. Rich, any thoughts on Meyer? Or?
I love Meyer as a prospect, and then Marlins were, jerking him around a little bit last year, and the results weren't there, and I jumped off. But I'd love to see him with success. I love the slider. I'm worried a little bit about the size. I do see the velos up this year in general. So that is definitely positive, but I am not a big Marlins person in general, so that's a negative for me.
Right.
But wish him luck.
There we go. Okay, why don't you give us a pitcher sell, Rich?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I think our audience is going to love this one. Incidentally,
here's another name you guys might not be familiar with. I'm here to tell you to sell Paul Skenes. So. Who am I? Well, what am I talking about? This got to be a clickbait. No, so it's more of a soft sell. The point that I want to get to with Skenes is I don't think he's the second coming of a Spencer Strider or even a Tarek Skubal in the sense from a fantasy perspective that he's going to lead the league in Ks. I just don't think that's the guy he is. I think we got a little bit of a mirage from the way that he was dominant at LSU. I know you like your LSU guys. Won the championship, striking guys out in the minor leagues, came up, definitely had a good year in strikeouts last year. But if you look at, you've always heard that the fastball doesn't have a great shape for missing bats. You look at his whiff percentage right now, he's 42nd in the league. I think he's a fantastic pitcher. I just don't think he's a top-end strikeout guy. And when you combine that with the fact that I overlooked this at the beginning of the year, the Pirates are terrible. Like we knew they weren't going to be good, but that lineup is terrible. So I don't know that you're going to get a lot of wins either. I think if you can trade Paul Skenes for a guy like Dylan Cease and something extra usable, a guy like Yuri Perez that's coming back that does have the strikeout upside, and another good piece, I think that's a move that you can make in fantasy this year and come out ahead at the end of the year.
Even in dynasty leagues.
Dynasty leagues, you want to be, a little bit more cautious. I actually just traded him 2 days ago in our house league, which is more or less a dynasty league. It seemed like more longer time than that, but I like him more, obviously, in Dynasty. I think he's a really smart guy. I think he's got the talent to manipulate pitches, and I think he will continuously improve. I also think he's a horse. As much as anybody can be reliable in the world of starting pitchers, I would bet on him, and that's a lot of value in a Dynasty league. So more for this year, more for redraft. I think this is a move you can make. Be a little bit more cautious in Dynasty.
Yeah. You and I talked about this not on the show, and I got thinking about it a little bit, whatever. And I wonder if Skenes isn't maybe a little bit like Garrett Cole's non-Cy Young finish seasons. Like really super good volume, not over the top strikeouts, whatever. So
to me, when I was looking at it, I think he's like a Logan Webb guy. And Logan Webb is great, and Logan Webb is always underrated, but he doesn't have the name Paul Skenes, and he wasn't the number 1 overall pick. So I think that's where the disconnect is that, and he's coming out, and I just feel like people have that like, oh, this is another Spencer Strider, and he doesn't have that upside in the strikeouts.
Okay. I mean, he's way better than Spencer Strider because he's got 7 pitches right now with whiff percentages above 25. And 7, and he's 6'6", 260, whereas Strider's, smaller. And so agree to disagree on this one. I think but I do hope that Ross Jensen and other Skenes owners in leagues I play with, I want to get Paul Skenes everywhere. So
Rich
is actually correct. And you should trade me.
You could promote. I wrote about this a week ago. You can promote my article and to all your friends. Yeah.
There you go.
Right, I will.
Shout out to friend of the show, Richie Beta, who acquired Paul Skenes in the home league. So anyway, there you go. So anyway, all right. So my pitcher sell is an absolute gimme. It is Tyler Mahle, who has figured out how to be a great pitcher. What you do is you never allow a homer ever, which he hasn't allowed a homer this year. You have a BABIP about 100 points below league average, and you strand almost 90% of your base runners. And then all of a sudden you're really good. It's like that seems like a great plan. But no, seriously, his xFIP is 2 full runs higher than his ERA. Oh, and also, by the way, he gets hurt literally all the time. So his career high in Fangraphs WAR is 3.9. He's already at 1.2 this year. If I had to bet $20 on it, I bet he doesn't surpass that number this year. And just due to regression and getting hurt and whatever. Again, he's got a little bit like my Polanco pick insofar as I'm not really sure what the hell you're getting for Tyler Mahle. You're certainly not getting Paul Skenes for him. But bottom line is, if you do have an opportunity to sell high, I would very much recommend doing so.
I like Mahle. And I forgot to mention with Paul Skenes, he's 22, which is like young for AA or like this, like the age you're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So like he's got time. And then Mahle is he's only 30, which for pitchers I feel like is like a hitter's 28, something like that. 27, I don't know, but Charlie Morton figured it out like 35. Mahle has done this before. 2021 was a brilliant year because that was still a juiced ball year. Mm-hmm. And he did his last juice ball year, and he did about 180 innings with 210 strikeouts. Now, you're right. I think you're 100% right. There's injury risk here. You can't deny it. But, he's limiting hard contact. It's a really weird profile, right? Like he's not whipping gas. It's someone who I don't know. I think, if you can convince someone if you have him and you're like, he's like the next Cy Young winner. No, I don't think that. Like, I don't think he's got this crazy high ceiling, but he's a weird guy, man. He's got like this like it's like a low velo fastball that he's relying on 50% of the time. You're probably right. I probably a good sell, but I feel like he's just getting the job done right now. His stuff makes no sense. But he's limiting hard contact with that. I haven't seen him much this year. I need to watch him. I like the Rangers too. So here's what I'm going to do. Next game, I'm going to watch him. But I'm so curious. How are you getting by with a 92 mile per hour fastball and you're throwing it 50% of the time, limiting hard contact?
Yeah.
It looks like he's got really good. It's got like some good movement on it. That's interesting. No. Okay. So, there you go.
All right, so Mr. Eisenhauer, you're visiting us from where? Why don't you talk a little bit about where you're coming from and where people can find you and talk a little bit about your work and all that kind of stuff. And I'll actually piggyback on it a little bit, but you go first, obviously.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I kind of already mentioned it. I've got a Dynasty Dingers podcast, which is like kind of like still like kind of branded Scout the Stat Line, but I'm also over on Prospects Live now. It's interesting. I'm kind of moving not away from prospects because I'm in 30-team Dynasty League, so I'm always going to have the prospects thing, but I'm kind of like a little fatigued. My prospect fatigue is just grown to all prospects, and it's just like I'm just finding more of a fascination with MLB, and it's just that's why I'm glad we're actually talking about these guys today because the prospect journey doesn't end the moment they're promoted, right? Where like, look at a Jackson Holiday. Do you know that he's batting like 274 with like a 343 OBP on the year? Like he's casually doing that.
You were the one that posted that on X. Don't sleep on Jackson Holiday. That was you, wasn't it?
I was in a. I don't know. I wrote about him for Prospects Live a few weeks ago. I've been doing well. I don't always do well with my predictions, but that one, Brandon Pfaadt. I was writing my article the same day as Max Meyer. I'm like, it's happening the way I thought it might. Brandon Pfaadt rain comes down on him, gets blown up for 6 runs. I'm like, no, still okay, fine. Now it's a buy low article.
Right.
It's like anyway. But point being, prospects once they come to the bigs, as we're finding out with Jackson Holiday, as we have found out with guys who take forever, like Mark Vientos, and now what's happening with him, we don't know. Like the journey is ongoing. There's certain fascination. So this is a long way of saying, where I'm bringing a bit of like redraft and win now appeal, professional major league takes to Prospects Live, which we don't have a lot of there yet. So it's going to be fun.
That's great. Yeah, no, and I will just piggyback on what you're saying. I'm a subscriber to Prospects Live. I get the Smoke article every Sunday. It's very much something I look forward to. I have it with my, my coffee or French toast or whatever the hell I'm doing and whatever. It is good stuff. I can't recommend Prospects Live highly enough. Already was a great subscribing thing when they were through Patreon, but now they have a website that is really stout, really interactive. You can look up, anybody from. I looked up Elvis Martinez, not that he's like an unknown or whatever. I looked, and it's as opposed to going to even actual MILB.com, I would say is less useful than Prospects Live. So anyway.
They're too smart. I don't even know what the heck. Honestly, I work there. I have everything like available, and they're doing so much work all the time. Yeah. I'm not even trying to like shill for them. I'm like, I'm just gonna do my little article over here. Y'all be smart nerds over there, and we'll just do our thing.
Yes. No, I totally couldn't agree further. Rich, any thoughts?
Yeah, I love the website. Been on Prospects Live for a little while. Love the daily updates. I'm a big prospect guy still. That's where I'm at in my phase of enjoying baseball. So I've always liked the content that they're providing, and it's just so accessible now. So really like it. I like the some of the articles they've added, like the Sunday Smoke.
So, and Mr. Eisenhauer, where can folks find you on the socials?
At Doc Eisenhauer. It's like the president, but a little different. You'll figure it out. It's on the screen. What? You're just listening? Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So that's fine. You'll find it on Twitter when we just send out the show. So, all right. So we're running a little over on time, fellas. So I think we probably better move to just doing one more each of either a hitter or a pitcher. So Doc, why don't you go ahead and choose what do you want to do? You want to do a hitter or a pitcher to close us out? And it doesn't have to be the same. We can all do whatever the hell we want to do.
Okay. Well, I'll do a pitcher because so just one buy or one sell, correct? Just like one last thing, correct?
Just one last thing, yeah, because we try to keep the show in an hour for our audience.
Dude, I need to go to sleep. I'm ready for it. So
there you go.
I'll do a shout out to Augustin Ramirez. Like it's like I wrote him down as a buy, and then he hit a home run tonight after his huge slump. So we'll take that to the bank.
We can do some crib notes and then do a detailed one if you want to do that. That's cool too.
Okay. I mean, I'll just say that Augustin Ramirez is not a hack and slash Mike Zunino type. If you've played fantasy for more than 10 years, there's a certain kind of fantasy catcher who is just this guy who slugs bombs, and that's all he does. That's not Augustin Ramirez. He's kind of been a slow starter at most levels he's gone to, and it's kind of surprising to me that he was crushing it so fast here. But you look at his swing; it's just like an elite bat speed, right? And that's where it's the kind of like swing where I don't need to know that he's got a great bat speed number. I'm looking at the bat speed; it's crazy. And so he's going to be great. He's going to be the best hitter on the Marlins for like the next few years, and that like at least so. Which is crazy. Like it's like that's a fact. Stowers looks pretty good, but I mean, I didn't want to. I guess I'm accidentally making it about Augustin Ramirez. I'll do maybe I'll do a 50-50. We'll do a Matthew Liberator with the Cardinals. Super boring profile in the past, but he was also a first round pick. They have a few guys like Michael McGreevy, and Gordon Grassifo. Guys with they all seem like the same guy, but Matthew Liberator is actually starting to break out, and he's walking essentially no one on the year. I did a whole, I don't think I actually wrote about him for Prospects Live. I just wrote about him on X for free, so go look it up. But yeah, he's in the 98th percentile for walk percentage right now, 2.3 walk percentage, which is unbelievable. I mean, sometimes you just got to look at the raw numbers. What does that actually mean? Yeah, he's only walked 3 guys in the whole year. It's hilarious. And he's actually getting some strikeouts too. It's like, he's just kind of doing what he needs to do. And I mean, when you watch him, he's one of those guys. He's a classic St. Louis Cardinal pitcher all of a sudden, where like before the season, you're like, nah, get rid of this guy, put him back in the bullpen, bring up Quinn Matthews because we're impatient. Mm-hmm. And I was impatient. I actually was out. I was not in on Matthew Liberator, just for the record. But now I kind of looked at his pitch mix. He's doing a little bit of everything. I am on his Savant page right now, and I couldn't find it for a second, but now we're back on it. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he's got 6 different pitches. That's great. And he like the least used pitch is 9% used. Like that's a real 6 pitch mix. Yeah. And so like that curve and like his curveball there, he's using it the least amount of time, but it's like he's mixing it in nicely. Gets a 44% strikeout rate, even a 199 expected BA, which is even better than what he's doing right now, which is a 222. Not expected BA. I think I said BA. Yeah, dude, I'm so sleepy now. But anyway, point is, I'm getting too nerdy with it. But point is, his stuff's playing up. All of his pitches, even his least used pitch, is like doing really well. He's a fun 6'4", 215. Again, 16th overall pick back in 2018. 25-year-old. The 24, 20. Yeah. 25 to that's a perfect example of the prospect journey never ends. You can become a boring guy everyone forgets about. And then when you're 25 to 28, like Burleson's kind of what was happening with, St. Louis Cardinals love the guys who suck forever. That's probably Jordan Walker. Maybe, hopefully it's actually on their team for their sake. But Jordan Walker's looking really bad. Still super young, though. He could be this guy who, like, 26 years old. Oh, yeah, now he's good at baseball for the next 10 years. Anyway, that's my last 2 guys.
No, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Rich, you want to go? That's a good idea, Doc gives. Why don't you give us a quick 50-50?
So I'm gonna split it. I'm gonna do a buy and a sell. And again, nothing maybe earth shattering here, but I want to shout out as my buy my guy who just became my guy this year, Tommy Edman. And you've heard about him. It's not like a guy you're bringing up from the third page on a stat sheet. Everyone's heard about what Tommy Edman's been doing this year, starting off with the series out in Japan, but you've seen the power. The change for me is real. I think it's sustainable. Made some swing changes, working a little bit with Mookie last year when they were rehabbing together. The effects now been happening basically half a season. So he's got the improved power. What I think is still has been missing so far this year is his average. He's got a 252 average right now. He's got a 227 BABIP. Expected batting average from StatCast at 312. And I think when that normalizes out a little bit, he's on the injured list right now. I think when he comes back, batting average goes up, on base goes up. He's still not a big walk guy. On base is going to go up, and that's going to be your steals again. So we've seen that the Dodgers believe in this guy with all the guys that they have on their team. He's one of the key pieces in that lineup. And I think you're looking at a 5-category guy. So the message is Edman is real. If you can get him at a discount, go get him. If you have him, believe that he's real. And then I'll give you a fade as well. This one hurts me a little bit because I've been following this guy for a while. We're going back to the AL Central. We're going back to the Tigers. Casey Mize, great start to the year. You had the narrative with the spring training, the increased velo, the increased splitter usage. The velo's not really been increased. The splitter he is using more. It hasn't been super effective. He's got a 2.7 ERA right now, a 109 WHIP, 5 wins, adding a lot of value, especially in roto leagues to start the year. But a lot of it's a low BABIP, 240 BABIP, and a 92% strand rate. I think those numbers are going to normalize, and you're looking at more of a league average guy. So if you can sell the narrative, if you can sell the early season numbers, get something good on the hitting side, get a different pitcher, I think that's a move you make as well. So that's my those are my 2.
That's actually funny you mentioned. You just said, I don't know, kind of consolidate the thoughts that you had on a buy and a sell, but with Mize, like theoretically right now you might be able to trade Mize for Cease and something, and I think Cease is a better pitcher rest of season. So anyway, all right. So real quick, I'll do my 50-50. I'm going to sell another pitcher who's going to be Jesus Luzardo. I don't have any really super specific data to point out here. And his StatCast page looks like an absolute fire hydrant. So he's again doing incredibly well to start the year. And he also is somebody who goes against one of my favorite mantras, which kind of, Doc, you touched on this, always bet on pedigree, right? Like Liberatore was the 16th overall pick. Luzardo was a top prospect, whatever. But his numbers just scream regression. He's walking 3/4 fewer batters per 9 than his career. He's permitting 1 homer fewer per 9, and he's stranding 5 percentage points more runners per 9. And then his home run per fly ball rate is 10 percentage points lower. So throw in, just like Mahle, the ever-present injury risk. I'd be looking to sell high. I'd be looking to do so post-haste. So that's my thoughts on Luzardo. Again, kind of like what Rich was saying, I certainly don't wish injury on him, but expecting a full season out of 35 starts out of Jesus Luzardo seems like a fool's errand. And then I'm going to go with one more sell. And this one hurts. He's one of my favorite players in baseball. Just he's a great dude. Like I get caught up in unlike a lot of fantasy players. Like I'm out of control. Rich actually has mentioned this to me. The amount of baseball that I consume can sometimes work against me in the fantasy game. Like I actually watch a shit ton of baseball, and so and read articles and read personal stories and all that stuff, whatever. So anyway, George Springer is another sell for me. Personal favorite. He has a stutter. George Springer. A lot of people don't know that, and he works with kids. He works with kids with stutters, and talks about overcoming it and how they can work through it and all that stuff, whatever, and does speech therapy and all that. But just kind of similar to Jorge Polanco. I just can't get into a 35-year-old who's going to suddenly post a career high WRC plus by 11 points. So bottom line is, if you add the difference between Springer's 2024 BABIP to his 2025 BABIP, you get almost the difference in OPS. It's not quite the difference, but it's pretty darn. It's like 70 points off. So really, once his BABIP normalizes, like everything else just kind of falls apart, whatever. So and also kind of, they're not Pittsburgh bad, but Toronto has the fewest homers in baseball. So I'm not sure that I would be looking to jump on board with the Blue Jays offense right now. So, all right, gents, any thoughts to wrap up, or do we want to just hit the hay?
I don't have any thoughts, man. I'm a pretty dumb guy, but I appreciate y'all having me on anyway. It was a blast, honestly. I had a great time. Thank you for having me. It was. We'll have to get into some Twitter battles. I'm sure we will.
Yeah. So, well, thanks again for that. Yeah. Appreciate you, buddy. So, all right, until next week. Thanks, everybody.